Alright, how you doing today, guys? Welcome back to another day of 7th grade math. This is Mr. Gomez, your favorite teacher in the whole world. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so right now. Today, we're going to be talking about dividing rational numbers. So, when dividing rational numbers, we're going to have a mix of, it can be just regular whole numbers. We can have integers. That means we have negatives in there. We can have decimals. Decimals with negatives, that's rational numbers. We can even have fractions. Improper mixed fractions, all sorts of good stuff. Okay, so in this lesson, my class is going to be working on this page right here, which is the AB side. Not all of them, but some of them. That basically... what the ones I'm going to be doing is going to be right here on the bottom, which is going to help my class actually do that assignment. So, dividing rational numbers. So, for example, the most difficult part of dividing rational numbers is when we're dealing with fractions. A lot of people struggle with dividing fractions, and that should not be the case. And today, I'm here to help you with that. So, over here, we have just a step-by-step. But I'm just gonna make it a little bit faster because we don't need all that extra stuff. So, for example, if I take this fraction right there, negative 3/5 divided by 2/3. By now, dividing fraction is gonna be almost, we're gonna need to know the basis of multiplying fractions, which by now we should already cover. And either way, I'm going to show you how to multiply fractions because we need it anyway. So, when we divide fractions, we just do it almost like when we multiply fractions, except we do 3 letters that we use. Does anybody remember what those 3 letters are? It kind of sounds like the chicken that you buy from the... Huh? What? TiVo? You can't do TiVo on fractions. We're gonna leave the answer as a fraction. So what we do is an acronym that is KCF. KCF. Does anybody knows what KCF means? Yes. Keep, change, flip, right? So what that means is that we're gonna leave the first fraction the way it is. So we're gonna leave it as 3/5. We're gonna change the division sign for a multiplication sign, and we're gonna flip this fraction. So instead of 2/3, we're gonna have 3/2. And now we have a multiplication. And what's good about multiplication is that whenever we multiply fractions, all we really have to do is just multiply straight across. Correct? So 3 times 3 is 9, and the bottom is 10. Can we simplify any further? We cannot, so my answer is going to be negative 9/10. Now, something that we also need to know about multiplying and dividing fractions, multiplying and dividing rational numbers. Multiplying and dividing rational numbers is going to be the sign rules. We're going to have to deal with sign rules. And these rules are going to be different from the ones on adding and subtracting rational numbers. Now, these rules are going to be a little bit different. But just real quick. When you have the same sign, the answer is going to be positive. Those are the rules. If you have opposite signs, the answer is going to be negative. As easy as that. Okay? And a good way to remember is with happy and sad faces. What? Yeah. So basically, let's do something like that. If we have the same signs, it's going to be happy. Right? It's a positive face because he's happy, right? Also, if he has the same signs, is still happy, So if you have the same eyes, it's happy. However, let's look at this one. If I have opposite signs, it looks like somebody punched him in the face, right? So he's sad, it's negative. It's a negative attitude, right? And you can also have it like that. They punch the other eye now, so it's still sad, right? So these two, they're positives, they're happy. These two, they're negatives, they're sad. See, now, you're not gonna forget this, right? Very good. So now, again, same signs, they're happy, very cool. Opposite signs, somebody punched them in the face, they're sad. They're mad. They're negative. All right. So, was this much faster than everything they did over here? Yes, right? Basically, it's the same thing, but much faster. But I did wanted to go over these rules right there. Very important rules for multiplying and dividing rational numbers. Now, let's look at number 1. We have a mixed number. And just like when we did adding and subtracting, before we can do anything, we have to convert them into improper fractions. And if you don't remember, it's very easy. All you gotta do is multiply then add. The walk around Texas, right? Multiply then add in this direction. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17, and the bottom stays as 4, divided by 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 is 7 halves. Okay? Now, when I learned this, I was actually going to school in Mexico. Okay? So I learned this a little bit different. And the keep change flip is basically the same thing, but I really do think it's an extra step. So let's view this as how I know it, okay? Basically, we're just gonna cross multiply. 17 times 2 is what? 34. And you put it on top. The bottom, 4 times 7 is 28. Put it on top. I avoided the keep change flip and having to rewrite it. Now, how you do it? As long as you give me the answer, I don't care. But you have to show the work on what you did. Okay? This basically is keep change flip, because if I flip the 7 halves, now the lines, instead of going down, they're gonna go across, which is what we do on multiplication anyway, right? So now, once we have it over here, I cannot leave it like that. First, I can either do TiVo to convert back into a mixed number, or I can simplify now instead of simplifying at the end. In this case, it's very simple to simplify. Half of 34 is 17. Half of 28 is 14. Now, I can do TiVo. Top in, bottom out, just like when we did. This is the steps that we already know how to do, right? So 17 inside, 14 outside. How many times does 14 go into 17? 1 time. 1 times 14 is 14. Subtract that and you get 3. So my answer is going to be, this is the whole number, numerator, denominator. 1 whole and 3 14ths. Both of them are positive, so I don't have to worry about the signs. Remember? Positive, positive, happy. That easy. Any questions so far? All good? Very good. Now, we have number 2. This I don't like because it's a long division, right? It's a long division. Nobody likes long divisions, but let's do it anyway. Does anybody remember which one goes inside? Just like on this one, top in, bottom out. This goes in, out. 3.5. Remember, let's look at the signs. We have a negative and a positive right away. Happy or sad? Sad. So my answer is going to be negative. And let's rewrite this as a long division. So I have 3.5 divided by 0.675. Everybody good so far? Now, the thing is that we cannot divide when we have decimals outside. And it becomes a problem. So what we're going to do is move the decimal all the way to the door, to the edge of the house, right? So we're going to move 1, 2, 3 places, and it's now right here. But if you modify the outside, don't you think you need to modify the inside as well? Of course you do. So we're going to take this decimal and move 1, 2, 3 and put it right here. Now, but there's nothing in there. What are we going to do now? We got to put in zeros, right? And that's how we start dividing. So now the division says 3,500 divided by 675. That's what it's saying, right? So what I would like to do now is kind of estimate, because these are big numbers, right? So I can see 675 is really close to 700, right? So how many times can I fit 700 into 3,500? Or how many times can I fit 7 in 35? That's about 5 times, right? 7 times 5 is 35. 700 times 5 is 3,500, right? So let's try that. So we're going to put in a number what? 5. 5 times 675 is going to give me how much? So 675 gives me 3,375. So basically, all you got to do is multiply. And this is why a lot of you don't like it. I don't like it because it takes forever, right? So you're going to take 675 times 5. You're going to multiply that, and you're going to get 3,375. Is that less than 3,500? Yes. If you add 675 more, will it go over 3,500? Yes, it will go over 3,500. So basically, 675 times 6 is going to be more than 3,500. So we're going to use this. And then we're going to subtract. Okay? So this is going to be what? 5. 8 to 10 is 2. This is 1. And that's it. 125. Now, am I done? No. Now, I got to add a 0, add a decimal, bring the 0 down, and divide again. Until you either get hundreds or a remainder of 0, right? Or whatever they tell you to do. Now, 675 times 2 is how much? Let's do that. 675 times 2. If we get 1250, then we're going to get a remainder of 0, correct? So this is 0, carry the 1. 7 times 2 is 14, and 1 is 15, carry the 1. And this is 12, and 1 is 13. So we went over, right? So it's not going to be 2, it's still going to be 1, right? So we're going to put a 1. 1 times 675. And then we're going to subtract again. One more time, right? So you're going to have how much? This is 5. 8 to 15, this is 7. 7 to 12 is what? 5. And this is 0. Now, what are we stopped now? Do we stop now? We don't. We got to keep going. We got to add another 0. Bring that 0 down and put it right there. Now, how many times does 675 go into 5,750? That's where it starts getting like, oh my God, that's too much, right? So at this point, you can look at the answer choices if they're given to you. If you get 5.1 something, and then the other ones are like 6.2, 7.3, 4 point something, you know the answer is going to be 5.1 something, right? So you might be able to look at the answer choice and say, oh, this is the one. I mean, it cannot be 4 point something, 7 point something. There just doesn't make sense. let's just go ahead and finish this up. Hundreds. So it's going to be 8 times. 8 times 675 gives me 5,400. You subtract, and I'm just going to stop right there. So my answer for this one is going to be negative 5.18 for that one, right? Now, if you needed to convert, if you needed to leave the answer as a mixed number, you could have done that, and you will just stop right here at the 125. So this as a mixed number is going to be negative 5 and 125 over 675, and then you will just have to simplify that one right there. Negative 5 over 27. This right here is the same as this right there. Any questions so far? No? Yes, it's a long one. Nobody likes them, but you will still have to do them. The things to remember is that if you have decimals, move them over to the edge and add them at the inside as well with zeros. If you run out of numbers, add a zero, add a decimal, bring the decimal up and bring the zero down, and keep going until you get to hundreds or thousands, whatever the question is asking. Number 3, we have a fraction with the whole number on the top and a integer on the bottom. I don't like fractions like that, so I'm going to rewrite this as 5 divided by negative 3/5. Right? Now we have a whole number and an integer. We still don't like it, right? We can't deal with that. How can we turn that 5 into a fraction? Does anybody remember? Just put a 1 under, right? And which one you want to do? You want to do the keep, change, flip, or do you want to do the cross like we did on number 1? Keep, change, flip. Okay, let's do keep, change, flip. So, keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. So I'm going to leave this as 5 over 1 times negative 5 over 3. Right? And then we're just going to multiply straight across. Is my answer going to be positive or negative? I have a negative and a positive. Happy or sad? Sad. See, y'all remember now. It was a good analogy. Okay. So my answer is going to be negative. You can just write the negative number down. If you have answer choices, this is the time to look for the positive answers and get them out of the way. It might be, sometimes you might have 3 positive answers and 1 negative, and you're done because you already know that the answer is going to be negative. You don't need to do anything else because you already know what the answer is going to be. It might be the only choice. So over here, 5 times 5, that's just 25. The bottom is 3. Do we leave the answer like that? No, let's go ahead and change it to a mixed number. TiVo, right? How many times does 3 go into 25? How many times does 3 go into 25? Sometimes we can do TiVo in our heads. How many times does 3 go into 25? Anybody? 3 times what is 25 or close to 25?
13?
Huh?
13?
No, 8. 8 times 3 is 24, right? So my whole number is going to be 8. 24, how much to get to 25? No? 1. 25 minus 24 is 1. And the denominator is the answer. This is negative. What? Okay. 25 divided by 3. Right? 3 goes into 25. 8 times 3 is 24. You subtract, you get 1. Whole number, right there. Numerator, right there. Denominator, right there. And we already knew the answer was negative. That's my final answer. Any questions so far? Looking good so far? Okay, next one. Instead of doing keep, change, flip, I'm just gonna do the other one just to have another sample like that. So, this times that goes up top. 2 times 8 is 16. 9 times 3 is, you know what, let's do a different color. That way I can identify. Nine times 3 is 27. Both of them are negative. What kind of happy is this one? The answer is going to be positive, right? Look at the answer choices. If there's any negative answer choices, get them out of the way. At this time, are we done? Can we simplify that? I don't think so. This is a multiple of, I cannot divide this by 2. Cannot divide them by 3, both of them. So my answer is going to be 16/27. You know what? And the other two, they're basically the same thing. So basically you can do keep, change, flip, identify the signs, and they go from it. But I think we cover a little bit of everything that we're going to be doing. Mixed numbers, decimals, and then if you have a fraction with a whole number, you can just rewrite it. Whenever you have a whole number or an integer and a fraction, you can just add a 1 under, then do keep, change, flip, and that's it. Does anybody have any questions at this time? All right, if there's no more questions, make sure you check out the other videos about the rational numbers. Other than that, that is going to be it for today. See you next time. Goodbye.